Welcome to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We are so excited to have you joining us on this journey where we explore different ways to empower your soul, whether it's healing in your kitchen or all the way up in the corporate world. Come with us as we look into different ways to heal your mind, body, and soul. Hey everyone, it's Catherine from Willow Healing here, and I am so excited to bring you the beautiful Sabrina Judith. So, Sabrina is an Akashic Record Practitioner, a Reiki Master, and a Past Life Practitioner as well. So, Sabrina was born with gifts, and she found herself connected to spirit from a really early age. And from some of her earliest memories of connecting with ghosts and seeing spirits all around her, this led to her exploration of metaphysical, including exploring tarot cards, and from as early as 16 she was reading them as well. And this led to her ongoing journey of finding and unpacking things to help her connect her to the other side. So welcome, Sabrina.
Thank you for having me, Catherine. I'm so excited to be here with you.
So how did you stumble in? Well, actually, let's backtrack before that. What is Akashic Records? So I know what it is, but a lot of people don't actually know what the Akashic Records are.
Sure. So the Akashic Records is considered another dimension of, like, we have all these different dimensions, like 3D, 5D. It can be brought in like the 10th dimension. It's an area of thought and consciousness that has the record of every past, present, and future possibility and event that has occurred in every life across all planets and all, pretty much all species too, which I've been finding more and more as I go along. But so yeah, when you do, I guess the best way to describe it is if you do an Akashic Records reading, we're accessing your book of life, and that's referenced in different religions, and that's so when you go in there, you can look into your past lives, your current life, your future possibilities, and you can bring forward what blocks you have, what who you're trying to connect with, what was a past loved one. And really, sometimes I get a lot of the soul purpose journey, and we can really dive into those type of questions and answers. And for me, it's more of a channeling is the best way I can describe it, because I really put myself to the side and I open up myself and bring myself up to that higher dimension and bring down and just let the information flow through me. So when I do it, it's more of a, it's almost like I'm talking, but I'm semi-unconscious when I do it, if that makes any sense. It's kind of difficult to explain because I'm not fully channeled like you see some of those folks on Gaia, right? Where they fully channel and their consciousness is just completely put to the side and they don't are fully aware of what's being coming through. So I'm still alert and there, but I don't allow my ego or myself to come forward.
Yeah, I understand that. So when I channel as well, I find you put yourself to the side, and even if you get something that you think, hang on, I thought that, and you almost catch yourself in that moment and you're like, hang on, was that me putting that on this? And you're quickly checking, you're like, no, it's okay. And I feel that's what, it's really, that's the authenticity coming through in that integrity to make sure that your ego and your thoughts don't actually, imprint on what you're actually getting coming through.
Yeah, so I do a pathway prayer to get there, and everybody has their own way as a reader and practitioner to access the records. But for me, I feel that the prayer just puts everybody into a calm state, a state of acceptance, and just possibilities of what can come through. And it feels good because I can feel that connection. I can when I feel they're open, I feel that vibration, and it's just up there, right? I just go straight up, and I'm there. And then the person on the other side feels good because they feel like I've done something to access the records as well. And you fall on the holy light, and your teachers, masters, and loved ones all come forward. So it's very impactful. And another part of that is also I work when I'm working with people. I create this state where they feel comfortable talking to me and bringing up subjects, and sometimes they're really emotional around past loved ones that had tragically passed away, and maybe they're just stuck in their journey and they need some guidance. And I come forward with book recommendations, tarot cards, synchronicities. I'm very visual, so I get these pictures that come straight through, and I do the best to describe them. I'm getting better and better every year, but yeah, it's pretty impactful for me too. So I can get emotional in there because I can feel all of that vibration and energy.
Yeah, it's just, especially when it's really from the heart, it makes it really powerful. And also, even as much as we try and disconnect, we're still feeling what they want to convey as well.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It is. And how did you stumble into, I want to say stumble, but how did you find yourself being interested in learning about the Akashic Records?
Yeah, so I've pretty much spent my whole life kind of tapped into the metaphysical world and with those, and just being able to connect and leaning into my intuition. I have visions, and one day I came across my Reiki master teacher, and she was doing Akashic Records readings, and I asked her about it, and so I booked a session with her, and as soon as I was done, I needed to know more. I was like, this is perfect. This is beyond mediumship. It's beyond more than I could ever really access and provide for people, right? So I can always connect intuitively and bring people's energy in, but this just gives me a whole different level of access for the person and just a more detailed and more fulfilling experience for everyone. And since I had my reading, I just dived in, found a book by Linda Howe, and I read it from front to back within a couple of days, and I just immediately started practicing, and it came to me like snap of the fingers, like so easy.
And I feel to ask you, I don't know why, I just felt to ask you, what is the most unusual thing that you've uncovered doing an Akashic record reading?
That's a really good question, because the things that I see, like I'll see bunnies and I don't know what they are, but the most unusual one, I would have to say, is really in the past couple of weeks. I had the image of a scanning machine, and it had very much relatable to the person that I was reading for, but I have never seen like a computer or some type of like, you know what I mean, like technical device in my vision or in my thoughts during a reading. And I saw it come through. I'm like, what is going on? Why do I see a scanner? It's like a paper scanner scanning into your computer. But that brought forward much more information from the person I was reading for. So that's the weirdest, like, oddest thing that's come through. Because you don't expect that. It's all metaphysical. When you see something, you know, like technology-wise, you're just going, I'm getting this. Does this make sense to you?
Yep, I can resonate with that completely. Even I was doing a healing session on my husband today. I'm like, you have to imagine that you've got a lightsaber. And he's like, what? And I was like a lightsaber. They just keep showing me a lightsaber.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I get a lot of visions. I can see houses. I see people's animals. I get the colors of the like the white horses and the brown horses. They're very vivid. Another thing that comes through a lot for me is how many times people had a past lives of a particular other person or soul. I get a lot of that too, within their soul group. What is a soul group? And the information that comes through is mildly the same, but it's also a little different because of the person that I'm reading for. Because it's their loved ones, right? It's their teachers. So they're going to convey it the way the person will receive it at their best. I find that really fascinating because even when I see like if I see the same heart, and sometimes the heart is love coming to a past loved one, sometimes the heart love is with a living person. I can also see the chords that connect more on a shamanistic level of those energetic chords that people see, whether they're gold with light or black and they're sludged. I can see those too. So it's really fascinating. Yeah, I think I just went on a tangent.
No. And I guess for people who are listening, so when we talk about chords, it comes up a lot when you start to do this work to let's say, level up your spirituality and that sort of thing. So chords are what connects you to people either in a healthy way or not a healthy way. And it can expand lifetimes, it can expand soul reincarnations, it can and sometimes we need to chop them.
Yes, sometimes they do. And I found that sometimes it's a healthy drop. Even if the chord is still on the, brighter side and you feel that you just need a fresh start or a fresh breath with that person or that object or thing, right? It's not always in the negative light, like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Yeah. It's more of, I want a fresh start. I like this, but I want it to be stronger. So I have done that with people where I have just cut the cord and let it regrow in its natural state and in a more positive and trying to give it a more gratitude, loving light towards that relationship.
Yeah, and it's basically a reset and shifting that relationship so you haven't got those toxic connections anymore.
Right. It's like a clean break and a nice fresh start.
Yeah. And I feel to ask too, when you see, because it's everything past, present and future, and I'm asking this because I've been through this with you too, when you see the future, is it fixed? I feel to ask you that.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely not. Yeah. So that's the one thing I try to always let people know too, and what your decision is. So in the time, in the moment of the reading, that is your possibility, and that's why I always use the future possibility, because you still have free will. You can choose tomorrow to take a completely different direction, and say that if we're having a reading and a house comes up and they ask, should I buy this house, and I say, I'm getting a very strong sense of a no. So you decide that you're going to buy it anyways. That can still happen, right? You still have free will. So it is kind of interesting that I have found through clients that have come back, right, where they schedule multiple sessions with me throughout the years, and they'll say, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe it, but you were right. I did end up moving, and I am moving again, and even with people I've had their trip canceled, you were right. My trip was canceled. How did you do that? I know to an extent that I'm just getting the information.
Yeah, and I feel that's that being able to distinguish between fate and destiny, I guess, and like people will go, if you're gonna meet that person, you're gonna meet that person. It's like, well, yes, but no, because it really depends. You're both free, have your own free will, and it depends on the choices you both make. It's like those movies that you watch and they constantly miss each other by like a millisecond.
Yes, I've seen that too.
Yeah, and then yeah, and then there's other times where you just think, oh, if I just if I just for some reason my car won't start today, for I don't know why, maybe I have to wait a few more minutes, and then the universe intervenes. So I feel that there's both at play, that we still got our free will, but at the same time the universe is kicking in when it needs to.
Absolutely. I think it gives you the opportunity to make the decision. It can't force you, but it will present you with the opportunity for the possibility, right? Like you said, like your car doesn't start and you might be frustrated, mad, you're going to be late for this appointment. But then you find on your ride when it finally does start and you start going along and there's an accident that you would have been involved in, right? So I've seen that too. It's been really, it's wonderful because every single person is their individual soul. Everyone has their own journey, and to explore that with people is fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. And then I guess too, when you go into the past, what sort of information do you look for people, or gets brought forward in terms of people's past?
So just like the chords that you were talking about, when they ask me about the past, or if they have a question and the answer resides in a past life, I'm shown a chord and I'm shown a color, and they will bring me back. And it's almost like if you could picture like a timeline in a horizontal way of all the dates, and it's almost like I just keep going back. Like I'll go to 1473, and then they'll give me a number of 995. Then they'll bring me to BC, and they'll bring me back and back and back, and then they'll have me stop, and then they'll bring forward for like I've seen Atlantis, and it's beautiful. And so, for one example, one person was in Atlantis holding a baby, and when Atlantis fell, and it was part of this epic disaster, and I don't know if it's an asteroid that comes down, but something completely wipes out Atlantis and puts them underwater. But the woman just held the baby close to her heart. But that was part of her evolutional growth, and that was part of her soul ascension, was accepting the fact that she had lost a child in the past, that she died with that child. And that was just to help her move forward in her soul's journey.
Yeah. And it's that, I guess we don't realize too how many wounds that we often carry, and that, and sometimes when we act, other people might find it irrational, but you don't understand why you're acting that way. It is that insight that you can get from having someone help you access the Akashic Records that can give some clarification there.
Yeah. So it's really interesting because everyone has a different, everybody has different past lives. I've seen people as seers. I've seen people as, there are women today, but they were a man in a past life, or they were, you know what I mean? Like all of these different things. And when you get to the root of everything, you talk about it, it makes sense to the person that I'm reading for. And they can really relate to that, and they can explore that at a deeper level and really start to unwind and unravel that either karma or dharma that they're bringing forward into this carnation. So it's beautiful because you know and they know that this is part of their journey.
Yeah. And I love when you were saying the different reincarnations, because one of my past lives I was a whale. I think I was we were having a session together, and you're like, I keep seeing water, and I was like, oh, that would be the whale.
Yes. And that's why I branched off into like, oh, well, it was different planets and different people, but it's becoming a little bit more of a species thing as well.
Yeah.
And that can be a really hard concept for a lot of people, but if you can keep in mind how smart dolphins are, right? Yeah. Where there's actually... I think there's laws in certain parts of the world where you're not even allowed to communicate with dolphins because of their high energy and their high frequency. That if you do connect with them, you'll be blessed with all of this knowledge. That's what I've been hearing. But
which is really interesting, because a few weeks ago at the full moon, I think it was in Pisces, the meditation I went to, we went and connected with the dolphins, and then the dolphins came and brought all this knowledge and that sort of thing through. So it's funny that you say that, because it is that saying that dolphins and whales and orcas, they're the cetaceans of the sea. They carry the same characteristics that we do. And when you start to watch those documentaries and things, you go, wow, they really are very similar to us,
Yeah, they really are. They are. I wish we could do more with them, you know what I mean? Like we could work with them more, because it'd be really interesting to see what they know, especially how, where they go. We can't go where they go in the waters. But yeah, really interesting.
Yeah. So what was I going to say next? So I've got so much to ask you. So have you felt that your past life work now has molded into that Akashic Records to help pull this apart a bit more?
Yeah, I think that I've gone into my own past life, and I've seen myself as a fear. I've seen myself as being more or less categorized for it. So I know that my fear of speaking out and coming out of the spiritual closet has been more of a past life that karma stays with me. And I do know, and it's interesting because I just have all of this like intuitive knowledge, and I've had it since such a young child. So I would just look out the window when I was young, probably 7, 8 years old, and I would ask to be brought back home. So I knew then, and it's interesting the information that I have, just random downloads, but as you get too, Catherine, because I know that you have them as well.
Yeah.
But I just know that I've been a seer in the past. I've been a psychic in the past. I've been a witch in the past. It's part of who I am.
Yeah. And it's that witch wounding that a lot of healers, especially a lot of healers that work with energy or work, with the metaphysical, normally when you start to pull this apart, we probably all have witch woundings, I have to say.
Yeah, definitely.
And if anyone's wondering, what's a witch wound? It means that you were persecuted for being in either working with nature or working with the elements, or, I guess deemed as having magic because you could work with energy, and just being connected with nature and herbs often got deemed by the church as a witch. So there was a lot of persecution against women and probably men as well, but not as heard as much about. And yeah, so that's what a witch wound is. So you actually carry that in your soul imprint, and it's in your DNA as well. So yeah, as much as we're taught that DNA is from a little bit from your mum, a little bit from your dad, joins together, it's really not. It's a lot more complex than that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we carry the DNA, and even to that regard, like even if you just take it on the scientific level of your mom and dad, but your mom and dad, and you keep tracing it back, and you keep going back, right? And then you trace that all back through your ancestry, and so that's part of it too, that we've been evolving for, I don't know, millions of years, I think. I don't think that we were just, it's been a couple centuries or something short like that. I think we've been here for a very, very long time.
Yeah, agreed. And even in different capacities too, and that's the other crazy thing that people just we'll let that sink in. We'll let that seed sink.
Yeah. It's a deep one.
And for you, when you access the Akashic, does it look like a library or does it look like a room? Because I know everyone talks about it looks a bit different.
Yeah. So when I go up there, I feel like I'm always greeted by the same keeper of the library, or keeper of, and it's not just a library. It's a huge, huge building that doesn't have walls. It's really like bookshelves, just going on for infinity, up and down. There's ladders that are up and down, but I feel like I go there. He sees me, and I call him a him because that's just how I'm identifying the person. They smile at me and just wave me back. They wave me in, and I can watch myself go down with my hand and just lightly scroll down all of the books until I find the person I'm reading for, and I take it forward, and then I open it up, and the pages will just flow and then stop to where they want me to, and then I pull that information forward. So it's really, I'm very visual. So it's a huge experience for me as well, not just the person I'm reading for.
Yeah.
But yeah, active library.
Yeah, that's really cool. Because when I've gone myself, it's like it evolves. It depends why I'm going there. So for me, sometimes it'll look like a library. Sometimes for me, it looks more like almost like a campus, like at a university. And then it's got like different areas. So it just really depends what my intention is when I go up there. And I feel it's just because I'm not going up there for someone else. I'm just going up there for a specific reason. I'm just...
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense though, because it is different if I read for myself. I don't see the library all the time. It's almost like if I open them for myself, they present me with my question before I even ask it in my mind. It's like they know I'm coming.
Well, they should.
Yeah, they should. And I think that's also a fun part of the readings is I always ask to have the person bring questions if they can. If not, I'm always willing to help kind of formulate those questions. Because there's a reason why you're called, even if you don't have a specific question to ask. I always get to that too. But I've had times when they're like, they want to answer question 3, or they want to answer this second question first. So I find that interesting too. So as soon as you book a session, it's almost as if they know.
Yep. And even I know we've had sessions and I've asked my questions and you're like, oh wow, that was really easy. And I'm like, yeah, that was really easy. And you're like, we've got time, let's do more. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can ask everything. What can I ask? What can I ask?
Yeah. I tried to get the most out of, and I know that sometimes you can have a question that can last the whole session, but most of the time we can get through so much more than what the initial expectation is.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah.
More time. What else do we got?
I know. And then people are overwhelmed. And it's amazing, right? When you're like, okay, we've got the universe open. You can ask anything you want. And they're like, oh, I don't know what to ask.
Yeah, that happens. And then I'll ask them, so when that happens, I just silently ask them, what do they need to know right now?
Yeah.
What's the most important thing for them to know right now? And that comes forward, and then the session just blossoms from there. So even if you don't know what to ask, or you don't know, but you just know you want to access them and you want to have a reading, I think sometimes those are even more interesting to get through, because the person didn't expect the answers because they didn't expect to ask the questions, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's just a bit of magic, right? It's just like,
yeah,
ta-da. So I was going to ask too, because it keeps popping in my head. So do you find that when you see people's, because I know you can see auras and colors and things, do you find that you can find almost like a string, this is what I'm getting shown, from their aura to maybe an Akashic link?
I'm not sure if it's presented to me in that way. So maybe, what do you mean by a link?
So what they're showing me, this is us, this is what Sabrina and I go through, everybody who's listening. This is how we feed off each other. So I'm getting shown like a person, and they've got their auric layers around them with their 12 layers. And then in that, there's like a layer, I'm trying to think of which one it is, but it's almost carries the memory of your soul and like your kind of imprint. And then they're showing me that you can, like, if you're looking at that layer, if you're like amazing enough to see all those 12 layers, it's actually incredibly hard, then that actually pulls out and can give you a key to where you need to go in the Akashic record.
Oh, yes. So yes, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I do. I can get that. Yeah. So yeah. They'll show me, okay, this person answers lies in the Akashic Records in a past life. This answer resides with the person of a past loved one.
Yeah.
And we'll pull that one forward. But yes.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Thank you, Spirit.
Thank you for the question.
Because I was like, I don't know why you keep showing me this, but I just keep seeing it. So, so I know you can see people's auras, so we'll just sidetrack into that a little bit. So, so to anyone listening, an aura is, so we all have an aura. So an aura is our electric field essentially around us, and you can actually feel it if you want to play with it. You can put like your hands together and pull them a little bit apart, and you can actually feel that energy field. But any living thing has an energy field around it, and it actually it's really cool, like depending which layer you go to, you can actually see where your physical body is, what your mental state is, you can see your emotional patterns, you can find your Akashic record link, you can find past life information, soul DNA information. Anyway, it's really, really cool, but not everyone can see them. So what do you see, Sabrina, when you look at somebody and look at their colors? I'm going to say their colors.
Sure. And I have to be honest, I don't have full control over it.
Yeah.
It comes to me when Spirit wants me to see it. So as just like someone glowing. Like I don't really like you like almost like one of the picture books like you see when you're reading about auras and stuff like that, and they show the energy around the person. It's exactly like that. I've also seen the whole person's body as a shadow in an orangish, yellowish light. And, some people could say, oh, maybe it was the sun. Oh, no, no, no. You feel it, and you just feel it, and you know that that's that person's energy. But I've seen the whole silhouette of a person as a shadow, as their aura too. So it comes to me in many different ways. Like for you, you always have this bright light around you. It's so white.
Thanks.
And I think that's just because, yeah. And I think it's when we're working together, we are always accessing, the universal energy, and we're always being intuitive. And I think that between us, we have this great bright white light for accessing that knowledge. But yeah, unfortunately, the auras come to me whenever they want to show me, and I get taken aback sometimes. I'm like, I'll be at my day job, and I'm an office worker, so. You're in the office with people all dressed up in suits, and then you just randomly see this person's, shadow aura, and you can't say anything, but you're like, oh my gosh.
Is there something going on for you right now? Because I don't feel you yourself.
Yeah. Like, okay. I think you need some water, or. Yeah, it's really interesting how they show me, and I think they do it to me at work often to tell me just like I think they don't want me to end my day job anymore. If I'm getting that strong pull to just switch over, so in time I will.
Yeah, and because I don't see auras, but I get given a color, and it's almost for me, it's which chakra might be in balance, or which color I need to pull in order to rebalance the energy. So I don't, but in saying that, then I will look up my aura book and see what that color represents to that person, and often they'll resonate with that, and then it gives us clues as to what crystals they might need to balance it out, or that sort of thing. So I had a speech pathology student recently, and I was doing a quick reading for her because she was really curious, and I said, can you see colors? And she's like, oh, I see people's auras. I've always done it. And I was like, this is your superpower. That is so cool. She goes, yeah, I can tell when people lie really easily. I'm like, yep, you can. If anyone's wondering if someone's lying, they get like a black, like a really dark color come around them because it's not authentic to their actual energy. Yeah,
it feels when I'm around people that either if they're liars or they're just not they're not on a good path. You know what I mean? I get, but they look different to me. Just their whole face just kind of changes in front of me, and it goes from their regular face to something more, and I don't want to say demonic, but it looks more in a I don't know the best way to describe that.
It's almost like a shadow version of their face.
Yeah, and more of a negative sense, but not like demonic, not that. You know what I mean? Not that bad.
It's funny you say that, because sometimes I will meet people and I'll meet them again and I don't recognize them because they look completely different to me. And I feel that just when I met them the first time or when I'm meeting them the second time, their energy is completely different. And I do a double take because I'm like, I met you, but you're not the same person. It's just interesting.
Yeah, definitely. That happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think I met this person before. I know this person's name. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Something changed with your energy.
Yeah. And it's funny because I never realized that was what it was until later. And I'm like, oh, it's just the energy's changed. It's not a new person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I love that. The more I read and the more I dive into things, I start labeling, like, I've been living with this my whole life. So as I keep going along and reading and studying, I'm being able to identify like words for it, right? So I could see the auras, and now I I know what an aura is, right? So I could identify it now.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah.
It must have been very overwhelming as a child having all these gifts and going, what is this? And who do you talk to about it? Because either people think what you're crazy or they nurture it. It goes either way.
Yeah, and when I was younger, this was not a well talked about subject. So I grew up in the 80s. I'm dating myself with my age, but so late 80s, early 90s, it wasn't a thing. But I am lucky that I had parents that were very open. My father follows Hinduism, so he has that sense and that basis of his religion. And my mother has always been more of a shaman and following that path. So she was always very open. But at the same time, because we knew how some people felt and how you could be labeled crazy very easily, she was just very good with me saying, you can't just tell anybody that you could see people. You know? I'm like, well, Grammy's over here, and I can see, I remember living in an apartment building with her, and the stairs would creak, and I'm like, they're coming down the stairs right now. And she'd be like, oh my God, we gotta get out of the living room. I'm like, well, they're not gonna come into the room. they're reliving the same thing. I was like, which one died here? And she's like, what? And so it's just been an ongoing thing with me and my mother until she passed away. But I was lucky in that regard. Yeah.
All right. As we finish our time together, Sabrina, I often ask my guests, what, if you could change one thing in the world or heal one thing in the world, what do you feel it would be?
That's a really great question. I think that I would want the information and knowledge that people have that are more what you would call probably like elite or who like really control the world. If we had access to that information, I think that would make humanity that much better. I think there's a lot of hidden information from us as the general public, citizens, and I think that information would be so helpful. I think we could heal each other, knowing more about crystals and their energy and how to cultivate our own energy and bringing energy up from the earth to healing. I think that there is more advanced knowledge out there that we're not being able to access. So that would be my one wish. It's pretty detailed.
No, I'll summarize it. So access to that ancient technology and the hidden technology that is out there, and we all feel that it should be there. And it is. Yeah. All right, Sabrina, it's been so wonderful having you on. Thank you so much, and thank you for everyone for listening.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you for listening to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We have so much love and gratitude that you have taken the time out of your day to empower you on your healing journey. The views shared by the person being interviewed might not necessarily reflect that of the host and should be used at your own discernment. Trust what resonates for you and follow your heart and soul guidance. If you have any underlying medical conditions or mental health issues, please consult with your healthcare provider before pursuing any of the recommendations. Likewise, you can always contact the person being interviewed to find out more information. This can be found in the show notes. Remember to activate, align, heal, empower, and find love in everything that you do.